I'm a little late to the party. I'm dissolving a gold tooth inside of this round bottom boiling flask, which is flattened on the bottom. I do have a mantle for it, but the mantle is a little bit too large. And it takes a while for the heat to transfer, and this hot plate doesn't get very hot, so let's see where my heat setting is. This has been running probably close to 12 hours for one tooth. It's almost gone. That was something that dripped out of a little lid here, cover, watch glass, whatever you want to call it. That's not quite what it is, but you can see it's distilling over some of the probably peroxide, mostly water. It doesn't have a smell when it burns off, but then again, I also don't stand around it. Oh, I have a contamination in here from something that blew in from the wind, but I'm evaporating this solution down, which is full of some gold that I'd already refined. I collected everything out of my crucible so I could use it for silver, and I had some other refined gold pieces laying around. I decided to refine them all, but I want to know what I got out of the crucible, and I have it all written down. I'll show that in a moment, of what I weighed before, and I'll find out what I get out after. The problem with the gold tooth, or crown as it would be used, was it had some epoxy or some kind of glue holding the tooth on, and it was still attached, but you can see it's almost hollow. It's about gone. And I don't see any of the epoxy left. And this solution is noticeably darker. I'm gonna let that keep reacting. And I'll filter that. This one, I'm gonna go ahead and shut the camera off and pull that out of there. Let that evaporate. If there's any solids, I'll filter them off. I've noticed, since this is about my third time trying to evaporate this to destroy the nitric, I've noticed that it keeps crystallizing some white solids. Usually I would guess that would be lead, but a little bit of research, that might be tin. Could be lead as well. That's what I always assumed. But I guess tin chloride, because of the hydrochloric acid, could cause the same issue as lead chloride. But this was relatively pure gold I was working with. However, when it first got dissolved into acid, there was a lot of borax. And when I cleaned my crucible out, I used sulfuric acid. And the sulfuric acid probably produced some boric acid with the sodium borate, which is borax. Don't know if that was part of an issue, but I'll get it all out of there. Eventually these two will be minted together, but I'm treating them separately for the fact that I want to figure out how much I recovered out of my crucible. All those little beads stuck on the side and under the borax, surprisingly, add up quite a bit, especially when you've melted 10-20 grams of gold in it over time, and it's alloyed, so I can't just melt that gold, because I make jewelry, so I can't just melt that gold right back into high purity when it's already been alloyed inside the crucible. This is my filtration setup. Just a separatory funnel, the valve, and a cotton filter. So if there's any more solids, what I'll end up doing is just pouring it into here, which I used it prior. Like I said, I've already taken some of the solids out of there a couple times. Collect it in that. Add some distilled water if necessary, and just evaporate it from there. If I see more solids, I'll add more distilled water and just keep doing it until I get pretty pure chloroauric acid. It's about the only choice that I have in order to deal with that. I have a gold refining video from before in which I kind of left the cloudiness, but this time I want the chloroauric acid to be the nice golden yellow color in solution like it should be, without heat, in order to dissolve those solubles, the solubles that dissolve in water. But as it dissolves, or not dissolves, excuse me, as it evaporates, recrystallizes out of solution, it becomes a little bit of a problem. Well, I'll catch up with you as soon as I get to the next step, so it's going to be a little while. Been working on this, like I said, for quite a few hours, so we'll get back to it. I already started doing this and forgot to record it. What I'm doing here is using some hydrochloric acid. It says muriatic, I know. I get it. The jug looks pretty dirty, and I see it's dripping a drop there. It'll neutralize itself on the concrete, but these containers are notorious for that. What I'm doing is I'm washing off all these insolubles. I've used water enough to this point that I know that this stuff is water soluble. So I'm using 32%. It's either 32 or 34.5% hydrochloric acid. I'm going to keep washing it. You see the color difference there. Whatever this contamination is, there's quite a bit of it, which is probably not very dense. But that's a lot. Whatever it is was an issue. That's pretty much already determined by the amount present. Doesn't dissolve in the hydrochloric, so I think this is going to be the last wash here. It's really pleasing to remove a contamination. And to see the color difference. Maybe one more small wash, but I'm going to stop the camera there. I think you guys get the picture. So whatever that was in the solution I had saved, whatever that salt, whatnot it was that precipitated out, kind of figured that one out later. It's mostly clear. The droplets you're seeing on the outside is from me washing it, of course with distilled water. There's still some in the bottom. I'm probably gonna have to do it again. This thing is still going. probably won't record all of the washes of this one. Not the first time this has happened, but with heat, that solid precipitate seemed to have kind of disappeared. So I'll make sure that I try to take care of that when it runs down to a lower solution, because it will probably precipitate out again. I just wanted to point out that the epoxy came off of the tooth. It's kind of bouncing around to the side of it. Kind of funny. So the epoxy did not dissolve. This tooth has to be just about gone. It's got to be very thin by now.